Hello, podcast listeners. This is Ryan. I just wanted to give you a quick heads up about what you're about to listen to. This is a year old, but timeless all the same. This is the first bonus podcast we did for our newly launched Patreon at the time. It's been about a year since, but it has to do with not only the Blair Witch project and kind of found footage films in general, but it has to do with telling my daughter that said movie was in fact real, and then breaking the news to her that it wasn't live on the podcast. So I remember it being fun. Hopefully you'll think the same. If it's something you're interested in, I encourage you to visit the Patreon. This is just a taste. We also do some bonus comic book podcasts there. Matt does some After Dark episodes and just post after textual post having to do with anything under the sun. Matt does a fantastic job with the newsletters every month. So if any of that sounds interesting, please patreon.com/bookclubformovies. Throw in a couple bucks there on the very bottom tier and you'll get access to all of this stuff. So if that sounds cool, so do you. In either event, enjoy the show. Welcome to Book Club for Movies, Patreon exclusive. At least for now. I'm Ryan Miller, and Mr. Exclusive himself, Matt Amberg.
I'm here exclusively with you. We're exclusive.
Very true. Is there anybody else in the world that could access you right now if they wanted to?
Truly no. I am hermetically sealed in my Ryan only cabinet. You know, it's
Perfect.
like do you remember Get Smart? And they had the dome.
Oh yeah, was that the cone
the cone of silence?
Silence, that was it. Yes.
I have a cone.
I'm thinking of the original TV show, by the way, not which Steve Carell movie was fine, but obviously,
you know, I like it. I do, but boy, I have to say, I think that 99 was miscast. I do like
the look seemed perfect at the time, but yeah, I mean,
look wise totally. I just feel like she was Anne Hathaway, by the way, who I typically do enjoy. I just don't think she was the right person for that role. To me, the person who I would have loved to see in that role, and I think she may have been too young at the time, honestly, but would have been like Emma Stone. Doesn't look like her, maybe dye her hair or something, but Emma Stone has that, like the tone that I wanted from 99.
The stone tone.
The stone.
Yeah.
She's got the stone tone.
You know who I would have put in the part? Freaking Barbara Feldon.
Why
That's
not?
who.
Why not?
Again.
Babs.
Got it right the first time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Why am I laughing? I'm not laughing, but I was laughing. Because we can do whatever we want on these Patreon bonus shows here, which
bonus shows.
I feel like at some point they might go farther out than just Patreon. But for now,
not for a long while.
This is what you get.
These are going to be exclusive to you. See, you're our patrons with the $sign at the end, baby. We love you.
And this time we're doing it in conjunction with our Blair Witch show. If you listen to that, it's slightly related. I think I've talked up the idea of tricking my daughter with the Blair Witch Project for some time now. But also we talked a fair amount about the Blair Witch Project in that show. So probably go listen to that first. Or don't. You're here now.
This is a companion show, but that doesn't mean you can't just listen to it solo and say, you know what? I'm only listening to the companion shows. I'm no longer listening to the main show. I'm a viewer first of the companions.
Yeah, it's so called because we think the listeners are our companions, not really because it has anything to do with any other shows.
Right. We're just we're trying to find new ways of companionship. We're shipping.
Aren't we all? Isn't that what life is about?
Shipping.
I'll tell you what life is about. Life is about 30 years long. No, just kidding. I'd be dead already. It's about 1999, I believe, is when the Blair Witch Project came out. Mm-hmm. And you and I were both alive at the time and have individual stories about our experiences with that movie.
Yeah, we do.
Who wants to go first?
Well, I would love to hear your story. Tell me.
Excellent. So I was taken in, I'll just say it right up front, a little bit by the documentary The Curse of the Blair Witch, which I caught on the Sci-Fi Channel or something like that. And not even the whole thing. It was like the last half, and I didn't record it, so I couldn't rewind it. It wasn't on demand. Couldn't do that back then. So It was almost the perfect way also to catch it.
Imagine life without those functions.
I'm trying. But yeah, because, to catch something like that disappeared just as quickly and was like, did I get the whole story? Like, almost seems too perfect anyways. You know? And at a time where I feel like maybe even just years later, like this happened. In fact, speaking of the marketing for the Blair Witch period, the Blair Witch Project, I don't know that what they did could have been done just a few years later. So we're just on the cusp of it still being possible. The internet did exist. I was using it I wasn't at high school anymore at the time, obviously, but
I love the internet did exist. I was using it.
I used to use the internet all the time for the chats.
I was online, America.
So
I've got mail.
For that reason, it's endlessly interesting to me because I feel like it was lightning in a bottle, the movie itself, which I feel like we did get into in our Blair Witch episode, but just that whole time and catching that documentary like I did, not knowing for sure, and currently dating my first like real life girlfriend, like the first girlfriend I ever had that wasn't like a high school, like, do you like me? I like you. Do you like me? We like, you like, and then, we're boyfriend and girlfriend.
We liked each other.
Yes. I met this girl at work, at a job, like an adult. And we, I was a salad maker at a restaurant, like an adult.
Like an adult is. You are, when I think of salad makers, I'm like, those are adults.
And she was a server. Her name was Susan, which she will be called from here on out. And
great.
I don't know why this is important at all, but
you're setting a scene and a tone. We are learning about young Ryan in his up and coming years.
I just do remember it as a very new thing where I was, and it's not like I hadn't been seeing rated R movies, which my family didn't approve of. So
again, I love the brag. I've seen rated R movies, guys.
I don't do what my mom says all the time.
My mom may be mad, but I still saw South Park.
First rated R movie I ever saw, in fact, Tombstone.
Oh, it's a great one.
Yeah, I was off the reservation. That's how crazy I was.
I like Westerns. Come on, Dad.
On a date with my first girlfriend, who I wasn't allowed to date yet, because I wasn't of dating age yet.
You were just setting fire to the rules, Ryan Miller.
Anyway, so with my first adult girlfriend, we went to Santa Barbara and saw, in fact, this must have been her idea because I don't even think I knew. I think we went to the Arlington in Santa Barbara. You can still look it up. It's still there. And it's one of those classic theaters, right? I don't even think at that point I would have known to go to something as cool as that. So I'm sure it was her suggestion. And I vaguely remember some conversations beforehand about whether it was real or not. And I think I was obviously more on the side of it was because I didn't know. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
Sure.
I just didn't know enough to say one way or the other. And I don't know if I got, by the end of that film, I don't know if I knew any better, actually, by the end of the Blair Witch Project. So I guess a real anticlimax here. I don't know when I found out that it wasn't real at all. I would imagine it was shortly afterwards, when it was out for a while, but I don't remember that moment as much as I remember the moment or time where I didn't know or believed that it might be. And scared the heck out of me. Either way, like freaked me out, was just perfect. And maybe the strangest thing, but I think it's still really instructive about what that film can do and did to me then. I could have sworn to you that movie ended with the camera floating up after both of them were dead. And I thought that was like who's holding the camera now? Nobody knows. And the movie's over, right? I thought that was how that movie ended until I rewatched it just a month ago for the show we did.
That's funny.
It does not end like that.
It does not. Camera fall. At all. Camera goes dark. End of movie.
In fact, maybe why I was confused is because there were two cameras in that house scene. One of them was a video camera. One of them was the 16 millimeter without the DAT. So the 16 millimeter did not have the audio, but the video did. So basically that last scene is you hearing the audio from the video and that audio seemingly getting closer as the 16 millimeter footage travels towards where the video camera is. And they find Mike in the corner, right? and then it's just over. Somebody gets knocked out, or
Heather.
assume she gets knocked out, whatever. Yeah, Heather gets knocked out, and then the camera just lays there, and then the movie's over. So made an impression at the very least, one that real or not, apparently. And then just fell into myth and legend for the rest of my life again until we watched it just barely recently, and I found out that it does still hold up and is still freaky, even knowing all of this now.
100% agreed. It still holds up, and I think we attributed it. I attributed it last on the Blair Witch show to, I think, it being kind of the originator, the progenitor of all of the things that came before it. Or all the things that came after it, obviously.
Right. Also,
but it's it's the reason this one works is because it was the one that was able to that was at the that precipice of the internet becoming bigger and more important. We hadn't quite got there yet, so it was at that point where people were still very internet naive. And speaking of, that's my experience, man. So I was spending time. I was 18. 1999 would be the year I would graduate high school. So this came out June or July or something.
We're not that far apart. Like, I graduated in 97. Like, we're only 2 years apart in age.
Yeah, I'm
I guess that still makes sense.
I'm 40.
Literally 2 years from 97 to 99.
It does make sense. That's good math.
One of us went to public school. Please continue.
That would be me. With my 2.12 GPA. Thank you. Look, I had a bad sophomore. My dad died my sophomore year. Lay off.
Okay, whoa. All right. I was going to say smart man. Okay, college boy.
Yeah. Okay, so I was the tender 18. I was at this point, I was 3 years into working at the video store. So I'd seen everything in the video store at this point multiple times. And I was spending a lot of time in IRC. That was where I had my friends from high school, but I spent a lot of time in IRC. I didn't use the internet like as a search tool so much. It was not like the things that I found with the internet at that point were few and far between. It was not something.
Just chat rooms, man. That's what IRC is too, right?
Was right. Yeah, internet relay chat. I was using Merc for any oldsters out there, and IRQ. So in Merc there were just a number of chat rooms that I would join that friends and you meet people, whatever. And somebody brings up this, dude, have you guys heard about this documentary that's coming out, The Blair Witch? And like, what are we talking about here, guys? Like, this is insane. Hearing stories. What is this? Okay, so find the website. There's a whole website for it.
That's right.
So these people, you could look them up. So we're looking them up online, and we're finding them, and they're real. They're actual people. What the hell?
Because also they use their real name, so even if you tried to look up,
yeah. So everything we knew to do at the time, the basic stuff. I mean, where we could search, we did, and they would pop up, and it was insane. It was crazy in this website, and then we're seeing clips from this movie, like what? Okay, this is nuts. And so this is building.
Oh man, and at the time they must have been like 400 pixels by.
Yeah, it was
like
it wasn't good. Yeah, not by any means. Like, this wasn't movie trailer quality.
But it's so perfect. In fact, you're making a perfect point, is that it wasn't so much that the internet didn't exist enough yet, it's that it existed in the way that it did.
It needed to, the way it needed to for this. Yeah.
As a blurry photo, as it were. Like, the internet was a blurry photo at this point.
Right. And so we were just like, it came up, and then I started talking to people about it at work, and then at school or my friends from school, whatever. And I was just in, man. I was, as far as I could tell, this was real. And this is this movie coming out, it's going to blow the lid off this whole situation. Like, I can't believe this. And we got our tickets to go. The movie came, and this was before it hit theaters. So I don't know if you remember this, but it released in like independent theaters, like very small release. And then it got a wide release. And it wasn't until it had made its like, I don't know if it's because that was the plan originally, or if that was a result of the marketing. But
that's also probably why I saw it in that theater.
But it didn't show up in the big theaters until weeks later, like to my memory. So we ended up getting tickets to this small theater called the Neptune in downtown Seattle, and I did not live. I lived an hour outside of Seattle at the time, so this was the place to go. So we drive out there, and I don't like driving downtown in Seattle. I hated it at the time. I was, again, 18, so it was not something I did a ton of. Sure. You've now been there enough times to know why it would suck.
Having not driven, but walked in downtown Seattle.
Yeah.
I also dislike driving.
I don't even remember where the Neptune exactly is. It might be in the U District or something. I don't remember. But it was in a place that was, like, for me at the time, was just horrifying to drive to. So I ended up having to search around to find the parking spot, finally get the spot, and we get in, and we're like, we grab our drink and we sit down, and we're like, the theater is buzzing. It is full. And you just know it. Like, everybody is in on this. There is no skeptic in this friggin' audience, man. It was, when people talk about you go to a concert or to a show, or if you're a performer, there's that electric feel and you just feel something in the air. Like, it's real. And if you've never felt that, I truly do hope you get the opportunity to, because it's real. And boy, it was there. It felt different. This was not a normal movie, man. We were going to see a documentary about these people that are gone. What the hell? And at the time, that didn't seem like beyond the pale. It seemed like this was a cry for help. They were like, this has been, 5 years in the making. We can't find these kids. We've got to release this. This is all we have. Somebody help. Movie starts, the theater is just so tense the entire movie. Like, it's just pin drop. We're in on this thing. This is going, and it's so good. It's so scary. It's terrifying. Like, hands are being held, and you hear people gasping at moments. Like,
who were you, by the way?
I was with my ex-wife Nicole.
Okay. I apologize.
No, yeah, I do too. But
I also broke up with that girlfriend, if that makes you feel any better.
You broke up with Nicole too? That wouldn't surprise me. So but it was holding hands with her, and we were like, as the movie went on, it felt like people were just, that's how people were breathing. Like, it wasn't like, you could hear it. And then at that end, when they're running through the house and they're freaking out, and she's moving around, and then that moment, man, when he's standing in the corner, haunted me for weeks. But it was so we get through the movie, and the whole theater's like
just silent, right? That's like, the thing about that ending too, is silence.
It's dead silence. And so it's quiet for a minute, and everybody applauds, and there's a thing, and everybody starts,
you got some applause too?
We got applause. Yeah. Everybody walked out talking and chatting, and it was
everybody's
buzzing.
Dead.
It was crazy. And the applause, looking back on it, really funny, right? So we leave, and we get in the car, but the car ride home is silent. Like, and I'm just going over this in my head, and I'm thinking about every moment of this movie, and it's probably about a day later when the movie takes hold, and I start breaking it down and thinking, this can't be real. This can't be real. And I held on to it for a while. Like, I went back and forth where I was like, it can't, but
did you go back to IRC and see what?
Absolutely. And most of the people in IRC were in the same boat. It was a back and forth thing, but you definitely had some
nobody
people,
knew for sure.
You definitely had people that were just ardently, this is not real. You guys are idiots. But I to this day, I can say it was within probably a couple of weeks, definitely before the movie was fully released, I knew it was fake.
That's true. I must have known before it came to video at the very least.
But I will say the amount of people. So I worked in the video store. That was the second biggest day in the video store for me was Blair Witch Project. And the people in the store, we told everybody that was working, if you've seen the movie, don't give anything away. Just shut your mouth.
Nice.
The first person that gives anything away, you're done for the night. You're out. We were dead serious, and our manager was dead serious about it. Like we're not gonna do.
I love it, man.
We're not gonna do that.
That is the best video store I've never been to.
And we had a line. We had the line out the door, down the thing, and it was only one other movie got the line that far down where it was like past the sub shop, past the shoe shop. It was like
Last Action Hero.
It was Last Action Hero. That's correct. For comparison's sake, it was a longer line by a significant amount, and it was Star Wars Episode 1.
Ah, dang it. I almost guessed that, actually.
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 1.
Sold. Everything was sold out within an hour or so, like, and it only took that long because it's how long it took to scan it.
So you were selling copies of Blair Witch as well as renting them at this video store, or did you rent it all at the video store?
Yeah. It was Blockbuster.
Oh, dang it. It was so magical before I knew that. I thought it was like Joe's video, like the local video store.
No, unfortunately, I did not work at the Video Village.
You could have at least a Hollywood Video me or something.
Look, Blockbuster, what was close, for one. 2, they were hiring. 3, it was a cool franchise, and our owner was pretty cool. Like, we did a whole bunch of the stuff that Blockbuster never did before. So we did the
it still sounds like it was run like
it was
Joe's Video.
It was basically, it was originally a smaller video store, and then it got bought
out by the man. Yeah, no, I got it. That's fine. You guys sold out.
Anyways, the Blair Witch Project, sold that movie a lot. People bought it. People rented it. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
It was a great story. It was fun.
I will probably never tire of individual stories of that movie. So if you have one and you're listening to this,
please,
let us know in any avenue that we have going on out there.
Hit us up. I think you should be able to potentially you could comment on this Patreon post, because it will be posted on the Patreon podcast, of course, at bookclubformovies.com. Let us know. Hit us up on Twitter. Just shoot us an @ and
even just a blurb, real quick.
We'd love it. Yeah, we'll share it on the show if you want. We don't care.
Also interesting, what if we had a firsthand experience of just such an example?
I think it's a great idea.
Well, I've explained this, I feel like, a few times, but I might as well do it on the actual show itself. I showed my daughter The Curse of the Blair Witch, the documentary, the fake documentary that I saw that partially fooled me for however long. I showed that to her, and she did watch it. And as far as I know, did believe it was real, and then kept that going until I showed her the Blair Witch Project. Again, having edited out all the swear words, because, again, I don't do everything my mom. I do some of the things my mom tells me to do.
You definitely still listen to your mom. In fact, I feel like you've regressed. Now you're listening to her even more.
Hey, it's no Tombstone, right? And
pepperoni and sausage.
It didn't go how I thought it would go, because I assumed, especially having done something similar with Apollo 18, go listen to that show, I thought she would not buy it as much. But I think she bought it more, to the point where she was a little more bored than she seemed to be for something like Apollo 18. And she got more into it when stuff got crazier, when people started yelling and, of course, disappearing. But by the end, at the last shot, she just kind of said, "Oh, is that it? Is that how it ends?" We're like, "Yeah." And that was kind of it for her too. She went to bed. Or no, she didn't go directly to bed. Because we tried to figure out exactly what was happening. Because like I said, I was expecting a different ending, number one. But also, I wanted to replay it for her and figure out, or at least explain, or have a discussion to whatever, get the juices flowing. And so I replayed the last 5 minutes of it. The house, basically, where they run around. And then that's also where I for the first time figured out, it's because the 60 millimeter doesn't have any audio and it's leading up to the video. Anyways, played it again, ended, again, not really anything. So it is to say that she currently believes that is the real video documentation of the disappearance of at least 3 people, I think. And we haven't talked about it since, and this has been a little bit longer than we thought it would be between viewings. So it'll be interesting to see what she says no matter what. So why don't I go bring her in?
Okay.
We'll see how this goes. Okay, so we finally got her to stop listening to Hamilton and messing with the FaceTime
effect
filters long enough to tell you, Evelyn,
aka Llama Girl.
Yes, what? Introduce yourself to the listeners at home.
Yes.
Hi.
Which, by the way, you're recording a podcast.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
all right.
You're now officially a podcast guest. It's a very
Hurrah.
It's prestigious, Evelyn.
I think we've got the microphone exactly in between us, so this should work. So, say hello.
Hello.
What would you like to say about yourself?
What do you have to say for yourself, Evelyn?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I have a hairless cat, and I love him super much. Other than that, that's probably all I have to say.
Okay, that would be your own personal podcast if it was possible, I'm sure. Okay,
Llama Girl and the Hairless Cat.
Llama Girl and the Hairless Cat.
That's a Marvel comic. I mean, that's like Devil Girl and Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea why we've brought you in today?
Well, I do see little tiny documents of the Blair Witch Project.
Oh,
here.
sneaky! Looking at my show notes. Wow.
I think it might be about the Blair Witch.
Okay, well,
look at this. Who's the investigative journalist in this group, huh?
What is the Blair Witch, as far as you know?
Well, I think she's this witch that. Well, it's like a. I imagine from the title, the Blair Witch, she is like wears black clothing because of the bee and Blair, but that's just my mind thinking.
Okay,
Sure.
Fire. By the way, she's on a very squeaky drum throne. I'm sure that's going to come through. No, don't make it squeak.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Yes. Do you know what the Blair Witch Project is? Do you remember? Does that name sound familiar?
Yes, they were like 2 men and a girl who went into the forest and tried to find the Blair Witch, and then they got like lost, and then someone like kicked a map into a water.
Okay, all right. So what did you think about that movie?
It was interesting and very scary, which I like scary movies, so it was fun.
Okay.
It kind of left a cliffhanger at the end though, because we don't know if she's real or not, and like someone was standing in a corner, and it was confusing. But
what did you think happened to the kids?
Me?
Yeah. What do you think happened?
Well, half of me wants to believe that it was all just, kind of a thing, like basically a movie. But half of me is also like, some murder scene might have happened here, and someone was just playing tricks on them. I don't know.
So you think it might be fake?
Yeah, half.
But you do think it also could be real? I mean,
not really the Blair Witch, but like maybe like that type of character. Yeah, like.
Do you remember the documentary we watched before about like the kids were lost and stuff?
Kind of.
Okay. I think we might watch too much stuff. This might be a problem.
So what did you do? What do you remember about the Blair Witch Project? I mean, you've kind of told us a little bit, but what do you remember about it?
Not that much. They did sometimes like go up to people on the street and were like, "Hey, what do you know about the Blair Witch?"
Right. So that's at the beginning of the movie, or the beginning of the documentary,
Yeah.
and then they go to the woods, right?
Woods,
What were the woods?
yeah.
What were the name of the woods? It's in Burkittsville, Maryland.
There was like some type of rock, and like these people were on a rock that then like people were like, "Oh my gosh, there are dead bodies on a rock," and then like
Coffin Rock.
Yes,
Coffin Rock.
That's what. Yeah, and then like when they came and got like the police or something, they came back and the bodies were gone.
So you 50% think it was real and 50% think it was fake, or what? Because you never see the Blair Witch in the movie.
I think that like the Blair Witch could be like maybe like a gang of people.
You think somebody might have
just
been messing
like
with them?
one
Because they like there was
person.
actual stick figures and
Yes,
piles
because
of rocks.
like that wasn't probably an accident, or like someone was just messing around or something, like kids or something. Or, of course, the people who were like videotaping it could have done that or something. But
So what
I
do
mean,
you?
half of me.
Oh,
is,
so you think the kids might have been?
Well, what do you? I guess.
Well,
manufacturing-
that's like part of it, maybe.
So what do
I'm
you?
not
What do you
sure.
think happened to them?
I think they all died somehow. Possession or something.
Just very unfazed by all of it.
No, look, it's a documentary, and it's an old documentary. You're not going to go, and are you going to go searching for the Blair Witch? Does that sound like
No.
no?
Very cavalier about death.
Oh, wow.
Would you ever consider going to so people still try and go out there. They go to Burkittsville and they go to the woods, but there are signs where it's basically, it says, from here on out, this is like nobody should go out here, and that's kind of where people stop, because the kids in this documentary went past that. Would you ever consider going to that, like the stop sign and the stop point where people come back and they're like, oh, I don't know, it's scary?
I feel like the only reason that I actually would go past, or at least to that point, was if I got dared by Dad.
Oh, by me.
Oh, done. We're gonna make that happen.
Yeah, like if my dad was like, "Go on, just take a few steps over there," I'd probably do it because I'm like, it's just a few steps. But if he was like, "Go like a mile into there," I'd be like, "Nope."
Yeah, come.
But could you imagine yourself like I don't know, in the future deciding to go out there and check it out yourself just to see?
No.
No.
I think no. Mm-mm.
Would it disappoint you to know that the Blair Witch Project was in fact not a documentary, and that those three people are very much alive and they were actors?
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I guess you're kind of half right.
Kind of partially a little
Yes,
bit. I got it.
By
You did-
thinking
So-
either
So
thing could be half true.
out of
you
one
did,
or
in
two, you got one kind of right. Yeah, we could give you that grade. So
Yep.
here,
It's completely made up. It's a fake movie. They were
Wow.
actors.
yeah.
Well, they were good actors.
So here's the
They
fun
were.
stuff. The actors were film students. They're real film students, and they did want to make a movie, and so they did actually get to go out and film, and they weren't told how to make the movie. They weren't told really much, but they were given some information by their director, and then they were also scared out of their minds by the director screwing with them by hanging up the little things and making the noises in the woods.
True. So I guess you were 25% right.
Yeah.
About being 50% right.
Yeah. I think percentage-wise, we're on a roll here.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you think? Are you upset? Are you surprised?
No, I'm kind of surprised. I thought you guys would just be like, "No, I'm gonna leave it up to your imagination."
Nah.
Nope.
Nope.
We wanted to see what happened if we told you the truth.
But now that you know that, will you go back and watch the movie again and watch it with try and watch it in a different way? Try to watch it knowing what you know and see if it's still scary.
Yeah, I probably would. It might be like a little bit scary at the end because I'm like, ooh, but like one of the sad things about scary movies is that once you watch it, you can't really watch it again because then you know who dies and what happens and stuff, like Quiet Place and stuff like that.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's true, you do know, but there are still movies out there that can scare you. We will find them and you will be scarred. This is my promise to our viewers and you.
Okay. So that's this episode. Say thank you to the Patreon people.
Thank you, Patreon people.
Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay. But it's truthful. So
Yes.
thank you.
And thank you, Evelyn. I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. It was cool.
You're welcome.
You want to do it again sometime?
Yeah, this was fun.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
About your hairless cat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got to find a movie about a hairless cat.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks everybody. Okay, good job. Bye.
Bye!